The Red Scare was a time period of numerous continuities and changes. First off, I'll introduce to you the continuities. The Red Scare increased many Americans' existing fear of immigrants and reinforced the idea of 100% Americanism among traditional Protestants. The Red Scare contributed to the rise of the KKK and was in opposition to new immigrants with radical ideals, Jews and African Americans. It had large marches in Washington, D.C. The creation of labor unions continues to occur during this time period as more workers become dissatisfied with their living and working conditions. The American Railway Union was the largest labor union of this time and worked to protest against their employers for better wages. The issue of labor strikes were also apparent during this time period, and it frightened the upper class of society because the strikes represented the rise of radical activists, and numerous similarities with Russian events. These similarities included the Russian women workers' strike and the New York shirtwaist strike in the US, which both had large numbers of participants who portrayed socialist ideals. Another important strike was the steel mill strike of 1919. This strike was carried out by workers who protested their low wages. The immigrants who participated were regarded as radicals who would be harmful to the American way of life. A prominent strike in the Red Scare was the Boston police strike of 1919. It's where police officers aimed for recognition of their trade union and improvements in wages and working conditions. It caused them to be accused. Officers who participated in this strike were believed to be Bolshevik traitors. We'll now switch sides and talk about the changes in the Red Scare. The Palmer raids were an important event that occurred at this time. It allowed federal agents from the U.S. Department of Justice to conduct sporadic raids without a warrant. During this time period, the American government put a restriction on Americans' free speech. In the Espionage Act of 1917, it made it a crime for any person to mail or information that inspired views against the war. The Sedition Act of 1918 was passed the next year and expanded the previous act and made it illegal for anyone to make any speech that was negative about the war. An important change during this time was the emergence of the American Communist Party in 1919, which was dominated by European immigrants who were responsible for numerous bombings in the spring of 1919. This party was responsible for the numerous bombs that were found in packages addressed to businessmen and politicians. The emergence of the FBI occurred as a result, and it was an organization that was in charge of investigating those who they believed were terroristic or could be of harm. Due to the rising fear of European immigration, the U.S. government put a restriction on the amount of immigrants coming into the country. It changed it to 3% of the nationality who arrived in 1910 to be admitted.
Created using Powtoon.